Okay, so this is chapter 2 of My Father's Dragon. And chapter 2 is called My Father Runs Away. So Wild Island is practically cut in two by a very wide and muddy river. So I showed you this in the last video. So this is Tangerina again, the island of Tangerina, and there's the rocks that connect, and then there's this wide river that's kind of, if you're over here and if there's alligators, you can't get across, so you have to walk all the way around to the other side, and the animals don't like that. So here we go. Wild Island is practically cut in two by a wide and muddy river, continued the cat. The river begins near one end of the island and flows into the ocean at the other. Now, the animals that are very lazy, and the animals are on the island are very lazy, and they used to hate having to go all the way around. So they used to hate having to do that, like go all the way around to the other side of the river to get to the other side. It made visiting inconvenient for them. And mail, so they had mail. So now you're understanding that this is a fictional book because the animals don't necessarily get mail. So, and particularly on Christmas, it was very inconvenient. Crocodiles could have carried passengers and mail across the river, but the crocodiles were very moody and not the least bit dependable, and always looking for something to eat. They didn't care if the animals had to walk around the river, so that's just the way the animals did for many, many years. They walked around. But what does all this have to do with airplanes? Said Elmer, who thought the cat was taking an awfully long time to get to the point. Be patient, Elmer, be patient, said the cat, and she went on with the story. One day, about 4 months before I arrived on Wild Island, a baby dragon fell from a low-flying cloud onto the bank of the river. He was too young to fly, and besides, he had bruised one of his wings so badly, and he couldn't get back to his cloud. See, baby dragons fly in the clouds. So he fell, and he fell out of the cloud onto the riverbank, and he was too young to fly, and he had hurt his wing. So the animals found him. The wild animals found him soon afterwards, and everybody said, "Why, this is exactly what we need all these years." They tied a big, thick rope around his neck and waited for his wing to get well. This was going to end all their river crossing troubles. "I've never seen a dragon," said my father. "Did you see him? Is he big?" "Oh, yes, indeed. I saw the dragon. In fact, we became great friends. I used to hide in the bushes and talk to him when nobody was around. And there's no pictures on this page, so I'm going to just read from it, okay? Just listen, because it's getting really good. He's not a very big dragon. He's about the size of a black bear, although I imagine he's grown quite a bit since I left. He's got a long tail and yellow and blue stripes. So he's a yellow and blue dragon. He has a horn and eyes, and the bottom of his feet are red. So a horn and his eyes and the bottom of his feet are red. And he has beautiful golden wings. "How wonderful," said my father. "What did the animals do with him when his wing got well?" Well, they started training him to carry passengers. And even though he was just a baby dragon, they worked him all day and all night sometimes. They made him carry loads that were too heavy. And if he complained, they twisted his wings and hit him. He was always tied to a stake on a rope, just long enough for him to go across and then back again. His only friends are the crocodiles who say hello to him maybe once a week if they don't forget. And really, you know what? He's the most miserable animal I've ever come across. When I left, I promised I'd send him help someday. And although I can't see how, because the rope around his neck is so thick, it's the biggest, toughest rope you can imagine with so many knots. It might take you days to untie them. Anyway, when you were talking about airplanes, you gave me a good idea. I'm quite sure that if you were able to rescue this dragon, which won't be in the least bit easy, he'd let you ride on him anywhere you want to go, provided that you were nice to him, of course. How about you try it? Oh, wow, I would love to, said my father, and he was so angry at his mother for being rude to the cat that he didn't feel the least bit sad about running away from home for a while to save a baby dragon. So that afternoon, my father and the cat went down to the docks where the boats come in. Where the boats, to see about going to Wild Island. They have to go through the island of Tangerina first. So they have to get on a boat to go to the island of Tangerina, and then he'll have to walk across those rocks to get to Wild Island. So they found out that the ship would be sailing next week. So right away they started planning for the rescue of the dragon. The cat was a great help in suggesting the things for my father to take with him. And she told him everything she knew about Wild Island. Of course, she was too old of a cat to go along. Everything had to be kept very secret. So when they found out or bought anything for the trip, they would hide it behind a rock at their park down the street. The night before my father sailed, he borrowed his father's knapsack, so his grandpa's, right? The grandpa of the boy telling the story. So my father borrowed his father's knapsack, and he and the cat packed everything very carefully. So this is where I show you, and I'm going to send a picture of it so you guys have it, and so that you can mark off when he uses these things. So let me see if I can change this a bit. So in the backpack, he has chewing gum. And he has 24 pink lollipops. He also has a package of rubber bands. Let's see if I can get that in there. A package of rubber bands and black rubber boots, a compass, a toothbrush and toothpaste, 6 magnifying glasses, a very, very sharp knife, a comb and hairbrush. I think you guys can see that. Let me see if I can lift it up. A comb and hairbrush. There's the knife on that side. A comb and hairbrush. 7 hair ribbons of different colors. Those are over here. An empty grain sack, or an empty sack that says cranberry. And that's very important. He brought some clean clothes and enough food for my father to last while he was on the ship. He couldn't live on the mice. Ooh, that was going to be on the ship. So he took 25 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and 6 apples from the pantry at their house. When everything was packed and my father and the cat went down to the docks to the ship, there was a night watchman. He was on duty. So while the cat made some loud, kind of queer noises to distract the attention of the watchman, my father ran over the gangplank and jumped onto the ship. He went down into the hold, down on the bottom of the ship, and he hid among the wheat sacks, the big sacks, kind of like the sack that says cranberry on our list. The ship sailed early the next morning, and they were off. Here's the cat watching the ship go the next morning. So that's the end of chapter 2. Look for chapter 3 now.